name is Qishuan Lin. I will be presenting my topic as debugging the front-end JavaScript code with the DevTools. So the purpose of this presentation is to bring you guys some idea about the DevTools. I will focus on Chrome DevTools, introducing the basic panels and their functions. Then I will explain some useful shortcuts for everyone. Finally, I will use a buggy page to guide everyone through the entire bugging process. And this is my table of contents. So before we get into it, I think it's good to know some keyboard shortcuts about how to open the DevTools panels. If your operating system is Mac, then you can use Command plus Option plus J to open the console panel. And if your operating system is Windows plus Linux, you can use Control plus Shift plus J to open the console panel. And here's an easy way to memorize the shortcut. C stands for CSS, J stands for JavaScript. So Chrome Developer Tool is a comprehensive toolkit for developers, built directly into the Chrome browser. These tools let you edit web page in the real time, diagnose problems more quickly, and build better websites faster. If you're not a developer, though, you can still get some use of the developer tools. So the first one is Elements. This tab is mainly used to debug the code of HTML and CSS in your website. Whenever you need to change something in the styling of your HTML and CSS, and you want to see how it will reflect in your website, you can do that with the help of this tab. Element tab allows you to interact with the DOM, change it, and view it. And the console deals with JavaScript. It gives you information about interactive elements on a page. In console, you can write JavaScript to interact with the web page you're viewing, and it also lets you write message to yourself in the JavaScript of your website you're building, which then show up in console to show that the JS was executed. The Source tab shows you where all the files that were used to make the website are stored, and lets you inspect them. This is also the main tool we will be using for the demo later. And the following one is the Network. This tab is mainly used to detect the upload or download requests made by a web page. You can log all network activity in the Network log. You can open the network panel and then reload the web page. In the network log, you will see the resources are represented chronologically in each row. Okay, after understanding the basic DevTool panels, let's explore how to use DevTools for debugging. Today, we will use a simple web page to demonstrate the debugging process. In fact, there are many features related to DevTools, and this is just a simple demo. I will include links to more features in the document. The website I'm demoing primarily utilizes event listeners from the DevTools. So let's briefly introduce some background knowledge on the event listeners. Event listener breakpoints are a feature in Chrome developer tools and also other developer tools that allow developers to pause JavaScript execution whenever certain types of events occurs on a web page. Use event listener breakpoints when you want to pause on the event listener code that runs after an event is fired. You can select specific events, such as click or categories of events. Overall, event listener breakpoints are a powerful debugging tool that helps developers gain insight into how events are handled in their web application and diagnose event-related problems more effectively. For now, let's start by using the event listener features for debugging. This time, that's debugging using the mouse click functionality within the event listener. If you are still using console.log to find and fix JavaScript issue, you might be spending more time debugging than you need to. This tutorial shows you how to make the most of the Chrome DevTools so that you can debug your JavaScript as quick as possible. I'm going to use this buggy demo here to demonstrate all the debugging tools. Whatever issue you are debugging, you will always want to start by reproducing the issue. You want to find a series of actions that consistently reproduce the bug in this demo. So when I add 1 and 5, the result down here is 15. Obviously, that should be 6. This is the bug that I need to track down at this point. First, you have to find the relevant code, which could take a while on a big code base. Then you have to sprinkle constant.log statements through the code. Then you got to reload the page and look at the logs, but maybe the logs didn't give you all the information you need. So you got to go back and add more logs and so on. With DevTools, you can pause the code in the middle of its execution, inspect the variables that are in scope at that moment in time, and work through your code one line at a time. So now we can open DevTools by pressing Command-Option-J on Mac. Or you can use Ctrl-Shift-J on Windows and Linux, then click the Resource tab. The Resource panel is where you debug JavaScript. So it has 3 main parts. At the top left here is the pane where you can inspect the file that the page used. After clicking on a file, you can see the content of it here in the code editor pane. And down here is the JavaScript debugging pane, which you will learn more about shortly. Note that when your DevTools window is white, the JavaScript debugging pane moves to the right. If you take a step back and think about how the app works, it's probably safe to guess that the incorrect sum gets computed in the click event listener. That's associated to the button. Therefore, you want to pause code right when the event listener executes. Choose event listener, and we choose the mouse category and click the click checkbox. DevTools now posts on the first line of any click event listeners that execute back in the demo. Click the button again, and DevTools posts on the first line of this onClick function. The blue highlight indicates what line of code you are currently posting on. If you're post on a different line of code, press resume script execution until you are posted on the correct line. Event listener breakpoints are just one type of breakpoints. DevTools offer many other types. For example, you can set a breakpoint on a specific line of code, or when a DOM node changes, or when an exception gets thrown, and so on. After this tutorial, I recommend checking out the breakpoints guide, which teaches you when and how to use each type the links. I will provide the guide in the reading materials. I'm paused in the click listener, and now I want to execute the code one line at a time. The code stepping control is right here. That you do that click the step into next function code button to investigate a function further. For example, when I step into the inputs are empty function, it jumps me to the first line of the code. When I'm confident that this function is working as expected, I can click the step over next function code button. The function executes, but I don't work through it line by line. For example, if I click step into the next function call, this line here would be highlighted blue, meaning that this is where I'm currently paused. But when I click step over next function call, the function executes to the completion. And I pause then the next line of the function that I'm currently stepping through. Suppose I'm stepping through a function and I realize it's not relevant to my bug in the case. I can press that out of function and DevTools execute the rest of the function if this doesn't make complete sense right now. I can tell that the bug is probably somewhere in the update label function. Rather than stepping through a bunch of irrelevant code, I can set a line of code breakpoint right around where the bug probably occurs. To do that, I can click the line number next to the code. This blue icon indicates that there is a breakpoint on this line. When I press resume script, execution DevTools runs all the code up until that time, and then pause before that line execute. Over here in the JavaScript debugging pane, I can see the call stack that causes this code to execute. And this scope session shows me all the local and global variables that currently defined at this moment. In time, I can click on value to edit them, but I'm not going to do that right now. However, when I look at this value, they look suspicious. They are wrapped in double quotes, which means they are strings. This could be cause of the bug. I'm going to investigate this further over in the watch expression. We can watch the values of variable over time. You can store any valid JavaScript expression here. For example, I click add expression, then type of sum. Then press enter. Then I can see now the value of that expression as I suspected. Sum is a string when it should be an integer. Now I'm going to open up the console down here to test out a potential fix for the bug. When I'm paused on a line of code, the console has access to all the variables that are currently in scope. For example, when I evaluate add-on 1, it returns 1. I think I can fix this bug by converting the add-on 1 and add-on 2 variables to integer before adding them. So let me try that now. Yup, that fixed it. I can verify that this change fixed the bug by editing the code directly from DevTools. So first I'll resume the script execution and then make my change. To save that change, I press Command S on Mac or Ctrl S on Windows and Linux. Then I click deactivate breakpoints so that I can test out the app without triggering the breakpoints. I've set now that the app sums a number as expected. Alright, you now have an excellent foundation and how to effectively debug JavaScript using DevTools. From here, I recommend learning about all the breakpoints that DevTools has to offer. As I mentioned before, I also provide a JavaScript debugging reference where you can learn about literally every feature related to debugging in DevTools. Thanks for watching and happy bug hunting! You now know how to make the most of Chrome DevTools when debugging JavaScript. The tools and methods you learn in this tutorial can save you countless hours. This tutorial only shows you 2 ways to set breakpoints. DevTools offers many other ways. I recommend refer to this link, which contains more debugging techniques to help us to tackle even more complex debugging scenarios. For instance, this chart introduces various types of breakpoints. Take a few minutes to read through these documents.